Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Scorpio November 2024 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel St. James, Clairvoyant. Well, we have an interesting deck this month, quite romantic, I think, in its art. It's full of vampires, but the vampires are beautiful women and handsome men. Something for everybody, no doubt. And they speak a lot to us. The deck itself is called, what is the deck called? It's called the Tarot of Vampires is what it's called. Being a tarot deck about vampires, so good title and easy to search for. Now, you know probably that I provide clairvoyant readings for people from all over the world over FaceTime and Skype. And if you're interested in that, then check out the details that are in the description below. Now, I charge for those, I have to, but there is a gift which I don't charge for, and it's separate to clairvoyant stuff, and that is the gift of healing. And I provide it for free. Now you might say, oh look, if it's free, it's not worth anything, right? It doesn't work. Look, actually, if I were to charge for it, had I ever have charged for it, it would not have worked. It works because I was told, if you like, that I am the vessel that it comes through. It comes through me and not from me. And I am to get nothing in return. No money. There's no expectation. There's no obligation. You're not going to be sold anything at all. It is literally done for free. Now, lots of people take advantage of it, so don't feel shy about contacting me because you might have some emotional issue. You might just be at your wit's end with something. Could be some problems with business. Who knows? And you can contact me as set out in the description. Lots of people have done so. You are in good company. Now, I'll tell you this, though. I forget everything that we talk about, and obviously it's confidential. So let's now see what we have here. By the way, I should mention that there are no video advertisements breaking their way into this content now, so you get to enjoy the experience of the reading completely uninterrupted and with no commercial additions at all. Now let's take 5 because they will tell you what you need to manage to find emotional fulfillment and success this month. Show me the magic. The Hanged Man. The Queen of Grails. What might this be? The 5 of Skulls. Well, there are 2 there, so what's this one? The Prince of Knives and the 5 of Scepters. Right, why don't you and I'll bring the camera around, shall I? And then you and I can have a good close look at the imagery that's on these cards together while the cosmic energies swirl and speak to us both, and I'll do the reading for you. Well, I can't help but get the feeling that there is a lot of emotion around you this month. This energy is a very emotional energy, except this one here, I think, which is very intellectual. Look, I want to have a look at this card here first. This Hanged Man, as it is normally called. I won't go into the detail of describing the pictures on it. You can just look at it and take from them what you would like, if you may. Now, this astrological association for me is Neptune, water, which means emotions as well, and emotions must flow. Something I feel in your life is stuck. There's the end of a situation or a relationship which is stuck. There's a time of letting, now that doesn't just have to be a romantic relationship, incidentally, but it is, I think, a time of letting go, of giving up, like this creature here, of surrendering and learning to see in a new way. There is for you, I think, the necessity of breaking through old behavior patterns. And as a result of this, you are going to go through a really beautiful change. Now, I guess that if we are looking at relationships that may become stuck, then you might well say that, look, now if little by little you stop loving me, I shall stop loving you little by little. And if suddenly you forget me, don't look for me, because I will already have forgotten you. And if you decide to leave me at the shore of the heart, where I have roots planted in the ground, remember that on that day, at that hour, I shall lift my arms, and my roots will set off to seek another land. You know, in many respects, I think letting go of a situation or of a person means coming to the realization that some people are a part of your history, but they are not a part of your destiny. Look, it happens to everybody as they grow up. You find out who you are and what you want, and then you realize that the people you've known forever just don't see things the way you do. So, if that is the case, keep your wonderful memories, but find yourself moving on. But the important thing is that you need to make the decision to move on. It doesn't just happen automatically. You have to rise up and say, I don't care how hard this is. I don't care how disappointed I might feel. I'm not going to let this get the best of me. I am moving on with my life, and remember that letting go doesn't mean that you don't necessarily care about someone anymore. It's just realizing that the only person you really have control over is yourself. But I also do see around here that there is the real opportunity to redeem yourself, to repair perhaps a situation which has turned sour, either as a result of some emotional transgression or as a result of some spiritual conscience transgression that you have made. We often think in this very 24-hour, 7-day-a-week world with Instagram and TikTok and social media all the time, that because it means that life often seems very fragile to us. And the fragility of our era is this, that we don't believe there is a chance for redemption, for a hand to raise you up, for an embrace to save you, forgive you, pick you up, to flood you with infinite, indulgent love, and to put you back on your feet, to extend compassion and strength. But there is. But I will also say this in this context of repairing things, is that sometimes it's as simple as emotionally, mentally convincing and knowing that you are sorry. Now, sorry means you feel the pulse of other people's pain as well as your own, and saying it means that you take a share of that pain, and so it binds you together, binds you with the other person. Sorry is a lot of things. It's a hole which is refilled, a debt repaid. Sorry is like the water wake of the speedboat of misdeed. It's the crippling ripple of consequence. Now, sorry is sadness, just as knowing is often sadness, isn't it? Sorry is sometimes self-pity, but let me tell you, self-pity is the suicide of the soul. But sorry really is not about you. It's the other person's to take or to leave. Sorry means you leave yourself open, open to embrace or to ridicule or even revenge. Sorry is a question that asks for forgiveness, because the beat of a good heart will not settle until things are set right and true. And of course, sorry doesn't take things back, but it pushes things forward. It bridges that gap. In a way, sorry truly is a sacrament. It's an offering, a gift. Now, what is coming down this diagonal? Here we go. Here's this 5 of skulls. Look, what strikes me here is the prone, passive nature of the lady vampire, and this creature, which I think is a product of her mind, causing her worry. Now, the astrology here is Mercury ruling the first decan of Taurus. Mercury is the planet closest to the sun and moves around it the quickest, of course. Third decan of Taurus, the 20th or the 30th of April, well, the speed and the evasiveness of Mercury, the planet of intellect and the workings of your mind, is here weighed down by the slow, heavy bull, which is representing the fixed sign of Earth. Now here, there is definitely something that's fallen out of balance with you. There's a brooding, pessimism perhaps, problems in communication due to that issue with Mercury. You are worried that things might dissolve at your touch, and it's sort of as if you're sitting back expecting the world to fall apart while you are waiting for it. Well, of course, worry is a thief. It steals the present away from you. The past and the future literally do not exist. And worry should always be replaced by action. If a light bulb goes off in your house, you don't sit around worrying about it. You take action and fix it. Worry is the accumulation of burdens and weight that pulls you down. You take on the weight of tomorrow on top of the weight of today. And those things that you worry about, they just never ever turn up, do they? But there's something more which is coming through here for me, and I think it is, respectfully, about feelings about yourself, worrying about whether or not you are inadequate or that you deserve. It's eating away at you, and it should not. Do you know, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear, and I would say your deepest fear, is that you are powerful beyond measure. It is your light, not your darkness, that probably is frightening you. You ask yourself, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? You are, remember, a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were all meant to shine, just as children do. You were born to make manifest the glory of God. Nobody has ever existed like you in the history of the planet, and nobody ever is going to exist in the future again like you. You are not an accident. You are here on purpose. You matter. You are significant. And that glory of the divine is within you. It's not just in some of us. It's in everybody. And as you let your own light shine, you will unconsciously give other people permission to do the same thing. And as you are now liberated from worry and fear, your presence automatically will liberate others and yourself. Now, there is some other information that's coming through, which, although it's coming through in colours and symbols and numbers, it's very hard to put it into language. So what I will do is I'll tell you a story about how important you are. That'll give you the idea of what's coming up for you. And it's a story about trees. You see, when I was a child, I was lucky enough to grow up in an area that was surrounded by water and great forests, and trees were always the most penetrating teachers for me. Now, I revere them when they live in tribes and families, in forests and in groves, and even more I like them when they are standing alone. They're kind of like lonely people, not like hermits who have run away out of some weakness, but these lonely trees are like great solitary men like Julius Caesar or Napoleon Bonaparte. Now, in their highest boughs, where all the leaves are, the world rustles by, and their roots rest in infinity. But they don't lose themselves there. They struggle with all the force of their lives for one thing only: to fulfill themselves according to their own laws, to build up their own form, and to represent themselves. Now, when a tree is cut down and it reveals its naked death wound to the sun, you can read its whole history in the disc of its trunk. In the rings of its ears, there are the scars that have beset it. Scars which give testimony to all the struggle, all the suffering, all the sickness, but also of all the happiness and prosperity. They stand written there, the narrow years as well as the luxurious years, the attacks withstood, the storms endured. Now, a tree will say to you, a seed is hidden in me, a spark, a thought. I am from eternal life. The attempt and the risk that the Eternal Mother took with me is unique. Unique in the form and the veins of my skin. Unique in the smallest play of leaves in my branches and the smallest scars on my bark. I was made to form, and I reveal the eternal in my smallest special detail. Now, when you are worried about things or fearing things, then a tree will have something to say to you. It says, be still and look at me. Life is not easy. Life is not difficult. Those are thoughts for children. Let God speak within you, and your thoughts will grow silent. You are worried or anxious or fearful because your path leads you away from mother and home. But every step and every day leads you back again to the mother. The home is neither here nor there. Home is within you, or it is nowhere at all. Now, what wants to speak? This does. It's a woman looking at a panther, I assume there. I assume it's a... Well, is the panther a vampire? It's holding up a crucifix anyway. Look, this is Saturn in the first decade of Leo. Saturn and Leo don't get on. Saturn is the ruler of Aquarius, and Aquarius is diametrically opposed to Leo on the zodiac wheel. And Saturn can be cold and dense, and people have it with restrictions, and Leo is a creative fire sign. But you may be feeling some restriction, have some unfulfilled desire, possibly feeling embittered about something. Is that possible? Or that you're trying to get something to go. It's as if you are feeling that your free flow of energy is greatly restricted and might be starting to stagnate. Now, in this situation with this astrology, it's quite possible that you'll be in competition with somebody who may have the same resume or may have the same looks in a way that you do for something. But it can also relate to disagreements and fights between people in a relationship. Well, I'll say this, that a bad fight is anything which doesn't help to move the relationship and the people involved forward. Now, if one person dominates the other, it will eventually be at the expense of the relationship. Everything depends on the intention, of course. Now, if the intention is to hurt, or to belittle, to ignore, to reject, or to just win, then good will struggle to come from that. But if the intention is to really come to grips with some boundaries and deal with unresolved issues, then that is positive and important. Love for the other person and respect for their rights, as well as your own rights, well, that will set a steady course for any argument. Now, of most value is the sincere desire to make the relationship work, which, if you haven't pulled the pin on it, which after all is very often why we're fighting with someone, because we want the relationship to work. If we don't, then, as any woman worth her salt will know, she will have packed her suitcases of pride and boarded the next flight into the valley of change. And then what do we have? We have for a moment there I thought, look, this, funny enough, this painting of this woman here reminds me of when I was a much younger man, of a woman who I dated, and she made me, with her passion, made me feel like an animal, which was probably good because animals don't know sin, do they? Here we have the Queen of Love, the Queen of Thrones of Waters. I think Gemini and Cancer are going to be important to you at this time. You're going to be very intuitive. Now, whether it's because it reminds me of my salad days in my youth or not, this energy that's coming up here is saying to me that if something burns your soul with purpose and desire, it is your duty to be reduced to ashes by it. Now, any other form of existence will be just yet another dull book in the library of life. And she is speaking of life, that spark of the divinity within you. Do you know you will start dying slowly if you do not travel, if you do not read, if you do not listen to the sounds of life, and if you do not appreciate yourself. You start dying slowly when you kill your own self-esteem, mainly by the words that you speak to yourself. You die when you become a slave of your habits, when you travel on the same path every day, when you don't change your routine, when you don't wear different colors, and if you don't speak to those that you don't know. You start dying slowly if you avoid to feel passion and the turbulent emotions that go with that. Those emotions that make your eyes weep and your heart beat fast. You start dying slowly if you don't change your life when you are not satisfied with your job or with your life or with your love. If you do not risk what is safe for the uncertain, you'll start to die slowly. You'll start to die slowly if you don't go after a dream. You'll start to die slowly if you don't allow yourself, at least once in your lifetime, to turn away from sensible advice and just live with abandon. Very good advice from you, I think. I do hope you have found happiness and blessings, because damn, that was a ride. Now, let me see. Finally, we have... Yes, hello. Vampire man here, the Prince of Knives. I'm getting a lot of Aquarius and Capricorn around here. Do you know, I think you're going to be very intellectual, full of ideas and plans, clever, but make sure you stay stable. You may well find that you could become quite domineering, and I think you'll be kind of elusive as well. Hard to pin down. A lot of creative thoughts, and you will be cutting through old entanglements, and you're throwing overboard limiting ideas and models of thought. Now, the energy that's coming through here is, and I guess it's saying to just guard against this, is that you will be full of ideas and they're going to tumble over each other with you. You are going to have a mass of fine ideas, maybe all tangled up, but maybe not related to practical things. You'll be very clever, but you might be finding yourself in a situation that you are kind of indifferent to any of the good ideas that you have. So you have a good idea, you go, yeah, it's great to go on, without actually implementing anything. But it's a time, I think, when you will free yourself from whatever limits your mind and spirit. But do be sure that you express your ideas and plans in ways that other people are able to understand. You know, not everybody is as bright, as smart as you are, you know. Your thinking also, remember, at this time may just be well ahead of its time. But I think you'll be able to organize it and work it and adapt it to make it workable in the present without sacrificing anything. But going back to this card here that we'd looked at before and spoke of, where it's all within you, what beliefs, feelings, relationships, or programmed ideas do you allow to limit yourself? And what are you going to do about it? Could well be the need to slow down and analyze your thoughts here to see if something practical can be obtained. But say to yourself, my creative possibilities have no limits, but they do need to be grounded. What a fantastic spread of cards for you. Made all the better for you being here.
Well, I told you that was an interesting deck, didn't I? And I hope you enjoyed the reading as much as I did by providing it to you. And unless I see you separately for a clairvoyant reading or for healing, then I'll see you again next month. And until then, though, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.